Welcome back to the Global Leaders Roundtable podcast, Fireside Chat Edition. Okay. I'm just, can I just say how ecstatic I am? I know I say this a lot, but I'm just always ecstatic about what the Lord is doing in my life and in the lives of the people that I know, especially those business owners and leaders of just different organizations. I mean, it blows my mind what is happening right now in our world and in the culture and the world of leadership. For the many of you guys who know me, you know that leadership is my thing. That's what I do for a living. I go and I speak to leaders all over the world. To be honest with you, I've had an opportunity to speak to leaders and visit those in Kenya, in London, different places over the years, all around the States, right? And so this is my thing, right? Having conversation with leaders about their organizations, how to scale those businesses, and be able to serve their communities better. But this particular platform, I was just telling our special guest before we jumped on, this particular platform is so special to me because it allows me to bring together the love and the passion that I have for leadership and to merge it and marry it to the love and the passion that I have for ministry and for God. And I get to speak with kingdom leaders from all over the world on this platform. And today is not going to be any different. I have someone super special. And I think this conversation that we're going to have is going to be impactful. It's super important because every leader, everybody need to be in on this discussion and learning how to really take care of yourself as you're moving forward in your God-given call. For those of you who do not know me, I am your host of the Global Leaders Roundtable podcast, Kenyon R. Dudley. And we have someone who will be speaking to us today on the topic of breaking free to lead well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Breaking free to lead well. We're going to be talking about wellness for high achievers in a burnout culture and what that really means and a host of other things. Y'all, please help me welcome to the virtual roundtable Coach Jayme Shiarla. Hey!
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
So glad to be here.
I tell you, I jumped on this meeting with you to go ahead and get this recorded because I had to jump on with the joy and the passion that has just been in my heart all day concerning this particular conversation. I will be honest, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, Coach. Can I call you Coach?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. I have a lot of conversations, but this is serious. I mean, we're talking about um, the burnout culture, and so many leaders are burnt out. So many leaders are frustrated. They feel like there's more, and they don't know how to get to it. And so many other leaders are feeling like, do I have more to give? I don't even know if I can give more. I feel like I'm at my wits' end. And so to have you come and have this discussion means more to me than anything. Because we've got to, more than anything, we've got to lead well in these times. You and I both said it's a revival going on. And for leaders in particular, if you're not leading well and whole, then you can't be effective in your area. So thank you for having this conversation.
Oh, thank you for letting me be here to have this conversation. I'm excited. I'm also a joyful person,
Yes.
and I'm an intense person. So I promise that it'll be serious, but we're going to wrap it in joy because that
Yes.
is the gift that is given to us today. We don't work for that. We have it now. So joy will be in this conversation.
I'm loving it. I'm ready. I think our listeners are ready. So let's jump right in. Let's do a deep dive. So
Yes.
let's start it out by you introducing yourself. Let our listeners and viewers know who you are, what part of the world you're in, and what are you doing?
Yes. So, who am I? I am Coach Jayme Shiarla. I am an executive wellness coach and neurolinguistic programming practitioner. So, I specialize in coaching high achievers, whether it's C suite executives, high income earning entrepreneurs that are financially successful, but they're emotionally and relationally bankrupt. And on this topic of burnt out, how is that the case if on paper they have everything that the world tells them they need to be happy and successful? So
Hmm.
that's a little bit about what I do. I do one-on-one coaching. I also do speaking events as well. I do corporate workshops, and then I officially, as of just yesterday, I'm a published author. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, super excited. So that's kind of who I am in the sense of what I do. Um, my backstory, which I'm sure we'll dive into in a minute, but I have a very diverse resume personally and professionally, which called not they didn't call me to. I made the choice of pulling in and out of my faith along the way and kept
Right.
trying to find my way to do it and not
Right.
bringing God into the equation. And it was a very lonely journey that led to burnout in multiple ways on multiple occasions.
Hmm.
um, I currently reside in Austin, Texas. Love it so,
Yes.
so much. And what am I doing? I am doing so many different things. But most importantly, is I am at the front of the line helping serve the kingdom to bring God's children home.
Wow. Oh, I love that. I love that. Helping them come home to, I heard that in so many ways, helping them come home to Him, right?
Thousand
But
percent.
also helping them come home to themselves in a way, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
this
that.
the,
I
the
love.
scripture about the prodigal son, right?
Yes.
Every single one of us, even though I think it's easy to be the character in the story of the son that never left and being frustrated at the brother who took off with its inheritance, but we relate to that one more times than not, and we feel guilty thinking that we are too far gone, we've done too many wrong things,
Yeah.
we haven't been following the rules according to God, that we feel like we can't come home to our heavenly Father, but he is on the front porch just waiting for us. So,
Yeah. Just saying, come home, right?
yes,
I
yes.
love that. I love that. Okay, so how did you get here? How did you get into the space of wellness, and then also coupling that with, and I so love this, dealing with working with high achievers, those executives, and those of us who are in corporate and all of that. How did you get to that point?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, diverse resume personally and professionally. Grew up in a very, very small town,
Mhm,
in a very, very fast way of skimming through some pretty heavy details. On the
mhm.
personal front, came from a broken home, family being divorced, anger and alcohol essentially raised me.
Yeah.
With, I mean, also just, grieving people trying to navigate a journey. And I happened to just be a part of that. I experienced all sorts of death
Mm,
between the ages of 5 to about 22 that consisted of car accidents, murder, suicide, overdose, cancer. I attempted to end my life on multiple occasions. I was in an
mm,
abusive relationship. I was raped at one point. Um, I had issues with drugs and alcohol. I had eating disorders, turned to so many different vices. It's not even funny. On the professional side, I literally was working since the age of 11. I've worked for
mm.
myself since I was 18. I did hair, therapy, worked for a chiropractor doing physical therapy and massage therapy. I waitressed, I did network marketing, I did hair on dead people. I was a facilitator for grieving kids due to death of a loved one. I was a Zumba instructor. I coached
Wow.
cheerleading. I coached gymnastics. I coached special needs. I launched cheerleading as an Olympic sport for the state of Ohio for Special Olympics.
Wow.
I sold life insurance, took top 20% of the company, and became one of 8 as a product consultant for a Fortune 100 company.
Yeah.
So, all of that to say, I've done a thing or two in my young years on this planet. But what was crazy is by the age of 25, I experienced a massive burnout because I was running on fumes, like 3
Right.
hours of sleep, running from myself and my demons and thinking that the more that I worked, the harder that I worked, the more successful that I was, people would finally love me. I would be respected. Things would finally get good, and I thought I would be happy. But instead, I was drilling myself into the ground, chasing after something. And then all of a sudden, work became my drug of choice, where
Mm,
it was once I hit this goal, then I'll be successful, then I'll be happy. Well, then all of a sudden the high wore off, and then I was chasing the next fix, literally to the point that it took me to burnout, where my body tapped out for an entire week. And so that was one of my many come to Jesus moments, that like what I'm doing isn't working.
Yeah.
So I realized something that had to change. And a lot of that came with my self-perception, but also with the way that I thought would be the roadmap to live a happy, healthy, successful life. And it just wasn't the case. Fortunately, because I had such a background with like sports and everything, wellness was kind of always tied into that.
Right.
And
Right.
so I did basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, track, softball, like you name it, I've done it. Like even now, like I still compete in CrossFit. And one thing that I finally realized around the age of 25 when all this happened, I loved psychology and I loved personal development, which also at some point, fun fact, became a drug of choice, was personally developing, which is a thing. We can
That's
dive
the
there too if
thing.
we need to.
Okay.
But in that is that I kind of had this realization that like our brains are just like a muscle anywhere else in the body. And we
Right.
need to train it just like we would a muscle in the gym. If we wanted to get stronger, if we want to become more resilient, if we have to increase the tension, we have to increase the load, like we have to know how to properly rest and recover. We have to fuel accordingly, mentally, physically, spiritually, right? Like all the things. And so
Yeah.
brain would function just like your bicep. And so that's kind of what catapulted me into becoming the coach that I did. I got certified as a life coach and then in neurolinguistic programming, which I just like to say is like a tactical way to rewire the brain.
Okay.
And one of the biggest breakaways, even after all of that, I used to joke and say I coached the workaholic and the strong friend. But during COVID was when that transformed, because the world was a mess. We were all stuck to be in the walls of our own home.
Yeah.
We didn't know who we were. We didn't know the people we were cohabitating with, and we couldn't run by going out and making money. We
Yeah.
couldn't go to our job to escape what was happening in front of us. And so that was where the opportunity kind of just COVID in a way kind of was a blessing in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because I had already done so much deep work and overcome so much of that part. I had no problem sitting in the darkness and in the loneliness. I had mastered loneliness at that point.
Yeah.
And so in that was when I finally realized that that was what I wanted to be able to do, is to help people who had good work ethic, had the motivation and the right intentions of why they wanted to, work hard to have financial freedom and be successful for their family and have the lives that they never had as kids, but they were missing it. And then now all of a sudden there's people who are getting all the way through their life wondering why they never actually got to fully appreciate the goodness that lied, the fruit that was produced in the journey. So that's what I get to coach people through.
Yeah, I so love the fact that you brought all of the things that you've been through, all of the things that you've experienced, and it's kind of like God gave you this opportunity. That's the word. God gave you this opportunity to touch down into so many different spaces and places and things to know and experience
Yeah.
for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because he knew that he was going to use you as a vessel and as an instrument to
Yeah.
be able to work with those leaders at higher levels across the board, to be able to teach them how to come to life beyond just the salary,
Yes.
how to come to life beyond just the power that you get from the position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to take it a step back for a moment, because we can't skate over your testimony, right? I
I know we
mean,
went real fast.
come on. I mean, so all of the abuse and the things that you have experienced in your life, I mean, talk a little bit about what that did to you, at a psychological level, at a spiritual level. Talk about what that did to you. And of course, I know, at an entrepreneurial level, it birthed this whole movement that
Yeah.
God is using you for. But more on a spiritual level, a lot of times leaders don't get to hear other leaders talk about what they had to experience at a spiritual level, or how they had to overcome some of the roughest times in their life. So, what did that do to you, and how did you get out of it? Exactly.
Uh, Great question. the very surface level, which I promise I'll give you more than just this,
Sure,
but
sure.
like I have to give all glory to God on that, because realistically I shouldn't be here. Like I made the attempts to end my life.
Yeah.
By God, like I can tell you, like if it's cool to get heavy here, because I hope this
Sure.
can land with
Yes,
somebody.
yes.
Um, there was one year in particular, was in the abusive relationship. I was insanely intoxicated. I threw myself out of a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
I locked myself in the bathroom at my mother's home and tried slitting my wrist, but I was too
Wow.
intoxicated to be able to do so. Blacked out. Next thing I remember is waking up and my mother is laying in my bed with me, and she's just like bear hugging me, and I'm begging my mother. I said, I will not do it unless you give me permission. I cannot imagine
Mm,
putting a mother through that. But there
mm,
is no other way to say it but God being in the room to make sure that that didn't happen. And I actually had a mentor recently tell me, she's like, Jayme, she goes, but I got to tell you something. What's crazy? She goes, in that moment, if like God would have said, no, this can't happen because someday I'm going to have you spreading the gospel,
mm-hmm.
would you have believed him? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like that wouldn't have been the thing, because I wasn't walking with God at that time. I
Okay.
joke and say I was born and raised Catholic, but I'm a recovering Catholic, because it was like religion was rammed down my throat. It was a
Yeah.
rule. You had to be at church or you were going to go to hell. And you had to do this or whatever. Like it was very much like I could never, I had to, I had to impress my God. I had to be approving of my God. Like it was not a loving relationship. And
Yeah.
then obviously I did not see that around me either. What I will say is, because yes, God gave me the opportunity, but like obviously we have free will. So there was a lot of really bad decisions I made in there. One was obviously when I was really young, I had no choice. Like I was a child screaming for love that I wasn't
Yeah.
able to get because people were grieving, hurting, trying to navigate that journey too. But one thing that was a blessing in a way, if I could, I believe perception is everything. It
Mm-hmm.
ended up being a blessing that was what I came from, because I knew chaos better than what I knew calm. So that taught me from a very young age to know how to thrive in chaos and not even like skip a beat. However, and I will ride this quote to the wheels fall off, like literally it will even be on my tombstone, is that we need water to survive, but water can also kill us. Too much
Mm,
of anything is a problem. And so that was where that went to the extreme, is that I just went in overdrive 24/7, because for me, when things were silent, that meant that something bad was going to happen and I had no idea what it was going to be.
yeah.
And if I just stayed in chaos the whole time, I was cool. I was cool as a cucumber in the chaos.
Yeah.
However, that is not a level you can sustain to be functioning at. And the other thing that started to happen because of that habit of being so busy all the time is that if I was sitting still, I was lazy. I was worthless. I was wasting time.
Mm,
I'm a failure. I can't just be sitting still. There's stuff to do,
mm-hmm.
right? And so it was, and I forget the quote now. If it comes to me, I'll share it. But it's like, oh my goodness, it's like something about busyness is not the remedy. I'll have to think of it. Either way, maybe I'll send it to you later and you can post it.
Yes, yes,
But
please.
for sake of time, obviously, it's like I was using work as and the needing to be needed all the time, because I didn't want to have to sit with myself. I
Wow.
didn't want to have to handle my own demons. I didn't want to face that. I didn't want to learn how to like love myself or even establish a relationship with this God that I had to have approve of me all the time.
Yeah.
So, especially with all the death and everything I experienced, I walked away from my faith a lot of times. I was very angry at God naturally. But again, it was because it was a rule, not a relationship. And so I
Right.
actually didn't even end up really finding and developing a relationship with God until like 2016, 2017. So a lot of that, like, I can't say it was because of something that I was aware of that I was doing to push through. It was just, that was my autopilot.
Mm,
And then, so then as I finally, went on bed rest with that kidney infection, and that being one of my come to Jesus moments, like I had to slow down. I had to learn how to sit through the gunk. I had to face the demons. I had to look myself in the mirror and actually appreciate the person looking back. I had to genuinely learn how to sit in the stillness to be able to establish a relationship with my Heavenly Father.
mm.
I couldn't just be reading his words all the time because I wasn't actually doing a relationship. I was just studying on
Yeah.
the rule unless I spent time with just him. So I think that like that journey um, again, it's always a choice on how we choose to, take what has happened to us. It got me to some really cool places because of some unfortunate motivators, but I'm grateful for those skill sets because now it's like I have some of those good habits in routine or in my routine, but I now am doing it from a space of peace, love,
Yeah.
and relationship that I don't
Yeah.
have to earn God's approval. I don't have to earn man's approval. I am loved just as I am. And like I get to experience the goodness and the fullness of that while I get to go work and serve the kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
Did that answer your question? Because I just went on a whole
Yes.
side tangent.
No, but yes, okay, I have a follow-up question to that, but just to make a statement here, I so love this story, and I so love your experiences and how it led you eventually to Christ. And I get that, you left your faith and at times and you went back and forth. And honestly, there's a lot of people who do, because sometimes it's hard to reconcile the trauma and the issues and the things that you've experienced in life and then try to see God as good.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you touched on this, which is really a part of my story too. Coming from an institution of religion um, that fails in a way. They do their best, right? But it fails in a way to teach you the love of God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just think as you were talking, like how many leaders are leading um, whatever they're leading from a place of performance
Yep.
rather than a place of peace, knowing that the love of God is there for them at their disposal at all times.
Absolutely.
How do you take now what you've experienced and take all of what you've said and now build a bridge over to those CEOs and build a bridge over to those, governmental officials or whomever you're coaching and working with? How do you take this message to them in today's time?
Great. Okay. I took a note because I do want to touch on one thing that you had mentioned there because the
Okay.
irony is amazing. I love God. Um, I've been geeking out on the Old Testament lately. Like
Yeah.
I've been getting lost in it. And there was a point where I used to dread reading it. But what was crazy is just today I'm in the book of Joshua, or no, sorry, I'm in the book of Judges now. Just
Okay.
got into the Judges. And it's talking about how like so many times that everybody would do what was evil in the Lord's sight,
Yeah.
or it's that they would love him for a little bit, but then they would get distracted by more of the temporary fixes and the
Hmm.
temptations of the world and start to idolize them. And so he would get angry with them. He had the mercy and the grace to be able to like wait on them. And he already made his promise that like he was going to continue out that lineage, right?
Hmm.
But what he would do is he would do things in his anger to take them to their knees to make them realize to come back. Like
Yeah.
this is what you wanted, and I let you have it. You made that choice. But when you finally realize this isn't as good as what you thought it was, you'll come back. So I
Yeah.
love that you said that. Because I think that's exactly what happened. And I think that's actually what happens to all of us, even
All
every
of us.
like the second I get off of here and I stub my toe and then I'm cussing or I'm yelling at my dog because they're being annoying, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, hey, sorry, my bad, I'm back.
Yeah.
Actually,
Sure.
fun fact on that, I have a reminder in my phone every single day that goes off that says, "What place is God in?" Because the second you start
Ooh.
feeling fear, anxiety, worry, idolization, comparison, you just gave that the throne over God. So it's my reminder to make sure that I'm keeping God in first place in my life. So take that,
Okay. So
use it. I want
stealing
to hear
that.
how it works for you.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, stealing that, coach. I'm
yes,
just gonna
yes.
say, no, I
Everybody,
love that. But
everybody.
it keeps you in a place, and I know you're getting ready to go to the next thing, but
Yeah,
it just keeps you in a constant state of reminder
yeah,
that God should be on the throne.
yeah. 1000%.
That if it's fear, if it's anger, if it's anxiety, if it's performance, if it's depression, or whatever it is, those things are trying to compete for the throne of your heart. And when it comes up, it's up to us to cast down every imagination and high thing that tries to exalt itself against the knowledge of Christ and what we already know God has said about us and for us.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Isn't
stealing
that
that.
so
Thank
good?
you. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Because man, I already there's been times, and I said, or I intentionally worded it that way too, because if I would have just put like as another task, put God in first place,
Yeah.
I would just clear it. But what place is He in? It like slows me down to think. So there's a little mindset hack for very challenge if you guys choose to accept it, to put that reminder in your phone. But okay, so how do I approach this with like other leaders or that I'm coaching them through? So I am clearly on fire for the Lord, but I do not have it anywhere in my bio for my
Hmm.
actual professional stuff that I am a Christian coach. And the
Right.
reason being is because I don't feel like I should have to do that, because you should be like, there's something different about you. There's this light around you,
Right.
and I want to know what it is.
Yes.
Let me tell you about my Jesus. But I also don't do that because of my Catholic upbringing. Is I would never want to throw the book at somebody or make them not want to talk to me because they think they're going to get the book thrown at them. So
Right.
um, how I want to answer this is going to be kind of at a worldly level first, but then
Hmm.
narrowing down into how I walk people through it. I think in general, the world tells us money, power, fame is what's going to make you happy,
Hmm.
right? We are also constantly being sold on a daily basis why we're not happy and why these things are going to make us happy.
Yes.
And so as leaders, it's like you have that spirit, whether you're an entrepreneur or just an absolute go-getter, and you're like, okay, if I have this money, I can provide this for my family. We can have this, then I can sit on a vacation and I can breathe and I can do all these things. We're chasing this version of when that is never actually going to happen. And we're
Mm.
also constantly distracted because we have these things that tend to control us
Yeah.
on a regular. So that being said, one of the biggest type of workshops that I coach on is slowing down to know how to speed up.
Mm. Okay.
Because this burnout culture, which the irony of this too is because at one point in my coaching career, that was my language, is helping you overcome burnout. I don't like the phrase anymore because
Okay. Okay.
in reality, now that I've gotten to this point in my life, I don't necessarily think that burnout exists,
Okay. Wow.
because
Okay.
yes, obviously if it reaches a physical point because you're not sleeping, you're not eating well, you're all of these things and the stress levels are through the roof, and like you have a heart attack or you get put on bed rest, right? Like
Hmm.
yes, then that is your body physically shutting down on you, but that to me is because you're not living very healthy. I wouldn't say it's burning out,
Burnout.
as
Right.
we like to, I think we sexualize that word a lot, is where I'm going with
Makes
this.
sense. Makes
We give
sense.
it too much power. Because think of this: if you are somebody who's watching and you are an entrepreneur or you are within more of a corporate spending, whatever it is, think of when you first started in that role of whatever it is that you're doing and how excited you were.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. Like it was almost hard for you to sleep because you found so much like love and eagerness to go after that thing that you wanted.
Hmm.
What all of a sudden started happening is you started getting rejected, or there was disappointments, expectations weren't met, things started falling apart, whatever it may be. Then it started to take more energy to do the very small tasks that you were doing. So everything in addition to that got even harder.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is that if I just tell you to simply stop, right? Just stop and breathe. How many people can actually do that? They can't,
Not
because
a
it's
lot
like,
of.
well, let me pick up my phone, or wait, what time is it? How long am I supposed to sit here? What else should I be doing? Is this really worth my time right now? What else do I have to get done? If you get a second to stop, what is the last time somebody has sat down and been like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking about? Nothing. I'm just chilling. Especially as a high achiever, you don't,
It's
because
hard, coach.
you're
It's hard.
keeping yourself stuck in this loop of just chaos.
Yeah.
And so the new other phrase of like self-care and rest is now becoming the trending thing. But what's powerful is when you learn how to pull yourself out
Hmm.
and just stop. And when you can appreciate that, like just quiet, that's where you're going to find that recharge.
Mm.
That's where you're going to give yourself the space to think through, like, why all of a sudden is it that I reach this point that I hate what I do? I
Mm,
built this business so I could have financial freedom, but I'm working still way more hours when I'm making way more money than what I did when I left my job. But I'm still just filling it with more business ideas and all that, and I'm still not using that to spend time with my family.
mm,
Right? Because
right.
we're just chasing, chasing, chasing. But if we genuinely like stopped, like, when did I really stop loving what I do?
Yeah.
When did I really just sit and appreciate my family? When did I really just sit and have a cup of coffee with Jesus?
Right.
Because we like to attach him with us, right? We're like, hey God, how about you partner with me while I go build this? Like, you'll be my CEO. No,
Yep.
no, no. You're pulling him in your plan. And I got convicted of that at the
Yes.
beginning of this year, if we're being
Yes.
super transparent, where I was like, oof, Lord, I am so sorry that I had asked you to partner with me when really I want to change that. And Lord, I want to partner with you.
That's right.
I want you to lead the way. And so it's like, it's scary because that means, guess what, overachiever, you have to be willing to let go of control. And
Mm,
that's something you don't want to do. And because you want to be in control, you're keeping God in the back seat. When you put him in the front, you get real rest because you're resting in the Lord. You're surrendering, you're loosening the grip of expectation. And that's where the energy comes to have the fire in your gut to keep moving forward.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh no, it makes perfect
Okay.
sense. It makes perfect sense. And I'm over here shaking my head and smiling because we all have been there and we all have to have this come to Jesus moment, like what's
Oh, we
happening,
have to come to Jesus every day. Not
right?
It's not a one-time thing every day,
It's an
sir.
everyday thing. And that's what's so good about this platform to show that, right? That
Yeah.
it is an everyday thing. But I'm thinking about all of what you're saying, and it is so true. Number one, it's just hard to take a step back and not do anything because you've attached your um, ability to
Identity to
perform, your
busyness.
identity. Yes, you've attached all of that to your doing, you know,
Mhm.
and it's hard. But I'm thinking as you were talking, I'm literally thinking about the moment that God called me and my wife out to Dallas, Texas. We're from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
But he said, move your business, move your family, move everything out to Dallas. Now, the mind, says, "Oh God, okay, we're about to have an Abrahamic moment. This is wonderful. You're about to make our names great. All of this stuff, because that is still attached to achieving." And then you get there, and for the first year, God says, "I want to heal you.
Mhm.
Sit still. I'm not going to open another door yet. I'm gonna focus in on your heart. I'm going to focus in on your mindset, your mentality. There's some things in your mindset that's holding me back from being able to, or holding you back from being able to
Yep.
access what I have for you." And I'm just listening to you and I'm saying, how many more people and leaders in particular are missing out on the goodness of God
Absolutely.
because they just won't stop.
Hmm.
They have to always be doing something, in something, achieving something, getting to the next level. And I get it. We're both in business. Those who are listening, they're in business too. It's about that bottom line. It's about how much did you make for the month? How many people did you touch? How many? But at the same time, you're losing yourself. At the same time, you're not only losing yourself, but you're missing out on the entirety of what God really orchestrated for your life.
Yeah. What's crazy? I actually have this pinned on my Instagram because it wrecked me in the worst way, but the best way possible. I had a gentleman reach out to me, 77 years old.
Mm,
Um, jump on the call. He had been in the auto industry since he was like in his early 20s, like top 4% in the auto industry, like had over 600 employees, married, 5 kids, multiple homes, all of his kids are debt free, everything, man of God, all this stuff.
Yes.
So he retired and had been in retirement for probably 7 years or so. And yeah, so we're having this conversation. I was like, okay, sir. I was like, so why are we here?
Right.
Like, you were successful. You
Yep.
raised 5 amazing children that are blessed to be also debt free, and you're still married to your wife. So, like, what's the problem? And he's like, well, my wife thinks I'm a lot. I think I'm a lot. I'm like, okay. And he's like, and I don't know why I'm here. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do you think it's because like the novelty or like the honeymoon of retirement has worn off and like now you're bored and you don't know what to do?
Right.
And he stopped for a second and he's like, easy answer would be to say yes. He goes, but realistically, I spent my whole life feeling this way. And the reason why was he's like, I just happened to be really good at making money and it was better than ending up in jail by choosing to drink and do drugs. Again, on paper, it looked like he had it all together. And now at 77, he's reaching out to a coach to try to figure out how he can feel fulfilled in this life that he has been blessed to live, that he just missed because he grinded away the whole time.
So going back to something you just said a while ago in our talk here, succeeding, making money became the drug of his choice.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to do, right? The Bible even says we can't serve 2 idols, right? You can't serve God and money. Money can be used as a tool. And I think that especially to many people listening to this, they're like, yeah, we know this, but I want to tell you, like, if you're walking lukewarm in your faith, like you can't just turn and say, praise God when something good happens, or all of a sudden like, hey, God, I need you when something doesn't happen. That's not a relationship. You're just asking for a genie at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Or you just because I had something that really said that I think was really powerful to me that someone said before is like, imagine like sitting down with Tim Tebow, right? Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows, like, especially if you're a football fan, like, his stats. Say you get the chance to sit down with him for dinner. And you're like, dude, I know you. And you just start spitting out the stats. And then all of a sudden he's like, you don't know me. Like, I'm a dad. Like, I love to serve the Lord. This is how I spend my day to day.
Yeah.
So people a lot of times know the stats of Jesus or of God, but they don't actually have a relationship with him. And think about it, whether it's a business deal, if you want to build rapport with a potential client, whether it's with finding a spouse or with your children, how do you develop a successful, healthy relationship?
Yeah.
You spend time with them. So if now God is going on the back burner so you can go make that money, don't be surprised that you're burning out because you're not using your right source.
Woo!
You just got me hyped.
Come on, just drop the mic, okay? Drop the mic. Okay, y'all, are you as convicted as I am?
That just came flying out. I'm sorry, but I hope y'all receive that.
Listen,
I need it too. Don't worry.
I knew you were coming with the fire, and I love it. And it's needed. Because the truth of the matter is we can make all these things, all these external things, all these tasks and all of that comes with it an idol. And we can make it the thing that we're serving, not realizing that that's what we're serving. Mm-hmm. And then, yes, you hit a brick wall or what have you. And you're like, well, how did I end up here? Hello, me, I was there. Right. Well, how did I end up here? I checked all the boxes. God, I did all the things. People said their lives were transformed and touched. What happened? Yeah, but I want your heart.
Yeah.
I want you whole. I want you healthy, Kenyon. Okay, so here's where I want to land this. What is the difference between being productive then and being whole? If productive is not the goal, wholeness is, wellness is, then what is the difference between the two? And how do we make sure as leaders, high achievers, that we maintain our wholeness in the work that we're doing and what God has called us to do?
So, if I just even think through basic definitions, to me, in my opinion, being productive doesn't mean being whole at all. So I don't think that they're even remotely the same. What I would challenge in saying this to differentiate is what matters more to you. to be able to say that you're performing and you're being productive, or does it matter more to you for feeling whole?
Right.
I think that would be the first question, but then to correlate on why that would be the case, but like, okay, Coach Jayme, but yes, in order for me to be able to walk in wholeness and what God wants me to do, I would have to be efficient. I would have to be productive. I got to do all these things. Yes and no. Like you
Right.
were called human beings before, that's why we're not human doings, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you still have to learn how to be. And then I think that in that relationship, in that rest is when you start to develop wisdom and discernment to know where and how your time is best spent, which would then create more productive productivity. Than if you just settled for, I want to be productive. I think it's motive. I think it comes down to motive. Are you trying to be productive for wholeness, or are you trying to be productive for success?
I love that.
Thanks for letting me talk that out, because I was just winging it as I went. I'm like, that is a really great question. So yeah.
That's a good question. And that I think that we all should be asking right now. Like, are we trying to be, and that's the thing, like many people who know me, they know we've got to be productive. We've got to be productive, right? But why are we having to be
Yeah. What's
productive?
your motive? What's your
What is that
idol?
motive?
What are you trying to be productive for?
Okay, Jayme. So I'm officially inviting you on a live podcast. Now, you would be the first that I've done this with. I am officially inviting you to come on a live with me and have a deeper, longer discussion. Because these fireside chats are just like we get in there and but we've got to coordinate schedules, all of the good stuff. But I have
I would
got
be
to have
honored.
you on the live where people are joining in and in on this conversation real time.
Yes.
Um, because this is phenomenal. This is what I want to end on. I want you to, if you can, give me all the things, because I know you've been taking the time to pray over this conversation, thinking about this. Give me the things that God wants the people who are listening in and watching in, that he wants them to know from you, through you. What is it that you believe, if it's one or two things that they need to walk away from this particular discussion with, what would it be?
I think I'm gonna go with, because it popped into my head earlier, and I was gonna say it, but then it didn't come out. And so now that I'm sitting here, I feel like this is the time to say it. So I'm gonna lean in and say that this is what I'm gonna share, because the people who are watching this are leaders, high achievers that are go 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 go. And especially if it's the person who is very much like feeling that they have to perform or earn love, whether it be even from people, but also even say from God, is that, because I think it's easy how we hear so many times when people are like, oh, but like you're loved and just for who you are right now, nothing needs to change. And you're like, nah, like if you knew the thoughts that I was thinking and like the temptations happening in here, like, no, that would not be
Right.
okay. So though it sounds good, it's hard to actually resonate with. But what comes to my mind, and I had somebody share this with me a while back, is that like God doesn't need us. Like I think sometimes like as performers, like and feeling we have to do all of these things for approval, that we have this duty, whether it's to our family, whether it's to our God who literally created us and everything so meticulously in it. But like God could use a rock. He has used a rock. Like he doesn't need us. He wants to use us. So if that can set you free for the reason why you don't have to do and why you have the opportunity to just be, I promise you, you're an overachiever. You're high performance. So you pumping the brakes isn't that black or white thinking of you going to, I'm not leaving my couch and doing a single thing for 3 weeks and just rotting away. You
Right.
won't be that person. Truly letting yourself just rest and be, like, you are that special because you are a child of God, but you're not that special.
Yeah.
Like God doesn't need us. Like he created the whole world without us before we were even here. Like he thought everything up. Like he knew the whole thing. So like he doesn't need us to go do these things.
Yeah.
He chose us to be those vessels. So like know and trust that like what's meant for you is not going to pass you by. And if you stop and choose to rest and be with your heavenly Father first, I promise he's not going to let you miss out on something in the world
Mm.
that's meant for you if you choose to spend and rest and be in him first. So I think that's what I want to finish on.
Coach Jayme Shiarla. Wow. I'm serious. No, wow. Uh, I started saying it like this to myself, and it may be, hopefully, it's not too offensive to those that are watching and listening in, but I literally had to start telling myself after having several conversations during the healing process of when we moved to Dallas, having several conversations with my wife and going and sitting with a therapist and going and just really trying to work through some things. I had to begin to tell myself, Coach, you've got to let go of the arrogance of thinking that God only uses you.
Mm, well said. Well said.
Um, the truth of the matter is, and we don't try to be, we don't try to be, um, you know, arrogant or we don't even most of us don't even think that way.
Yeah.
We're just trying to be productive, right? But I would like to think that it comes across to God and it comes across to many others, um, that you somewhere deep down believe that if you don't go, then it won't go. And the truth
Yeah.
of the matter is, if you don't go, God still has systems and processes and protocols and people that will ensure that his work goes.
And you know what? More times than not, I don't know if you can think of any moments in your life, but I can think of many. One actually just happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that when I didn't go, I was used in that place that I was in when I was expecting I was supposed to go and be used there.
So you, you could have missed the actual moment that God
Mm-hmm.
wanted you in because you're
Yep.
thinking that you're supposed to be over here doing something else.
Yeah.
So I knew this conversation was going to be a heavy hitter because I know that everybody is at home now or in their office now or wherever they are listening in on this podcast. I know that they are saying to themselves, ouch, ouch, that might be me.
And that's okay because it's all of us.
Yeah.
Again, you're not that special there either. It's all of us. Even if
Yeah.
this could be me next week.
Yeah. I so love that. And thank you for saying that because it is easy for, and we're bringing this to a close, but it is easy for high achievers, perfectionists, those type of people to get over into condemnation, you know? Um, and so thank you for saying that, hey, it's all of us at any given time.
Yeah,
One of us can be in the hot seat and we have to face ourselves and repent and change our mind and our mode of thinking.
absolutely.
And so thank you for that. So how can people, because you do such amazing work, please tell the viewers, the listeners, how they can connect with you, how they can follow you. And even there's some right now that I know that are going to need to get on the phone with you and actually be walked through some things. So how can they stay connected?
Yeah, so if you're on social media, I am the Jayme with no eyes. So Jayme. On Instagram, it's Jayme the Coach. Facebook is just my name, Jayme Shiarla. You can find me that way. My website is coachjayme.com. Yeah, so you can kind of cyberstalk away, do all of the things on any of those platforms. I have a podcast, Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jayme. I have a book, that officially launches on Tuesday. So I don't know when this is posted, but this will be on the 29th that it'll go out. But it's called Beyond the Words,
Yes.
123 quotes to inspire action and growth. So you will be able to purchase that on Amazon. If you just want someone who can give you some encouragement that way, but also give some inspiration and call to actions to challenge you to do something different with your day, you could do that. So through my website, if you are somebody is like, hey, I want to have a conversation, I would love to chat with you. I do a complimentary discovery call. You just go to my website and fill out the brief little form, and then you book a time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, run, don't walk to connect with Coach Jayme. I discern that we're going to be connected, moving forward from this in a great way. There's just a kingdom movement and a work to do when it comes with high achievers and leaders, and making sure that we are wholly integrated.
Yeah.
Wholly integrated. I love this. I love this. So the information that she just went over is going to be in the description of all of the videos, and it's going to be on Spotify and everything. So if you can't remember it, you will see it right down there in the description. Make sure that you connect with Coach Jayme. This is actually going to be live the day after your book is officially launched.
Let's
So that's
go.
perfect. You guys go and grab that book as well, so that you could do a deep dive in some of the goodness and the wisdom that is shared there. Until the next time, I'm Kenyon R. Dudley, and this has been the Global Leaders Roundtable podcast, the Fireside Chat edition. See you soon.